Hello, good morning everybody. Gil here from your Wholesaling, Lease Options, and Marketing Mastermind. Welcome and good morning. If the audio is coming out good, please go ahead and confirm in the GoToWebinar control panel. If you can see it clearly as well, fantastic. Got a couple questions here that came in, and we will tackle these this morning on our session here today. If you have anything, enter them in. That way we can keep you moving forward. Otherwise, if it's business as usual, go ahead and enter that in the GoToWebinar control panel. Bill, we'll jump right into some of the questions that's popping up here this morning. Unless you had something urgent you wanted to tackle for the group first?
No, we can jump right in here.
Awesome. So first scenario here that actually this was carried over from yesterday's session, and they found a house. The original owner is deceased. Daughter lived in it 2 years ago. House and the two adjoining lots are all in the name of the original owner. So it looks like this one's got some size. Maybe got like an oversized little parcel or property there, right? I heard through the grapevine up until 1.5 years ago that it was even being rented. What's the best way to find out who has control of the property? The city has it on the list of property with overdue taxes. So this is looking like a promising situation or a lead to pursue. If you didn't have any other motivated sellers or anybody more motivated, then I would bump this up to the highest priority, since there's the situation claims or screams motivation. One owner has it's passed through one owner from the next. The daughter lived in it, passed away. Now there's a rental, or it's on. I'm sorry, it's on the overdue taxes list. How would you go about moving this one forward, Bill?
Well, first of all, on the overdue tax list, there might be a forwarding address, so I check on that. Number two, as you suggested on a similar question last week, is to go out and visit the neighbors, in the mornings or on a Saturday or something. Go out and visit the neighbors, tell them you're interested in buying the property, and that you wondered if they know who the owners are and how to contact them. And, knock on the doors across the street and on each side, and invariably there's going to be a nosy neighbor that's going to have the information. There almost always is. So that would be the first step. The next thing I'd probably want to do is go on down to the courthouse and find out where all the probate records are. See if you can look up the property and see if the property has gone through probate. See if there's any record of that property in the probate court, and if there is, then it'll also have contact information. It'll say who the administrator is or administrators, or who the executor or executrix is on that particular property, and it'll have their contact information, etc. So that would be where I would start, and then once you're able to make contact, then you can do the normal things that you do, like evaluate the value of the property, see if you can get inside to take care of the condition, and find out who you need to do business with and what they're looking to do, and see if you can make a deal. Back to you, Gil.
I was talking to one of my acquisition guys here during the week, and we're taking a look at a similar lead where the property in its the owner owns the 2 lots, and it's somewhat of an oversized lot as well. And so we are taking a look to see if it's possible, or if we can make more money, or if it'd be a better project, if it would make more sense to put a duplex or a fourplex on there. And so that's one option I would keep open, or at least look into with this particular lead or deal. If you're part of the group coaching program, you do have access to cash buyers lists. Simply send us the county and the state. Please, 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 when you request for a cash buyers list, let us know the county and the state, because there are multiple there can be a state that has the same county name as a bunch of others, right? And so in order to streamline the process, get it to you in as quickly and efficient manner as possible, then please highlight or identify the state and the county and the state, right? Looks like we got Steve on the session. We got a couple things to review. Let me bump yours up in priority since you may be able to take care of that during this session. So what's the leads are coming in, right? We're sending the direct mail. Your team's getting the phone calls. Local acquisition managers in place to go to pursue the leads or deals. I've read some of the email correspondences, and it looks like they haven't. They're not quite sure what's going on with the leads. And so I remember having a call with you guys before where they were thinking that information was being withheld, right? Total misinterpretation. They just thought that there was more information associated with the leads. And so have you talked to your acquisition guy to kind of clarify things? Because maybe he's thinking this is a motivated seller lead with missing information, or if it's just, dude, just give me a number so I can mail the offer, right? Two different scenarios. He doesn't know which one he's dealing with. Are you there? You are unmuted, but your microphone might be on a hard mute, or you might have...
Oh, my Skype's muted. No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
I was like, no, you can hear me.
So, what is it? A communication thing? Is it, I don't know what I'm doing? You know, does he need a little bit of, clarification? What's the situation?
I think we need to focus on the immediate objectives, which are sending offers. We talked about it. It's pretty obvious. If the lead doesn't have a lot of info, then they're not general. It's very rare that there would be a motivated seller. That does happen. I mean, like Larry, which was one of your killer deals that you did when I was sending you on appointments, was one of those, right? Where the motivated seller knew it in the beginning and just sent you out, right? Something like that we would label. If the form's not filled out, they're not motivated. It's just a cold offer kind of thing. And we talked about that. So anything hot, I mean, I definitely make a point of putting that kind of information in there, and there would be a lot more info. I'm uploading the vast majority of my calls, the call recordings into Podio. The only time I can't do that is when I pick it up on the cell or I'm on the live talking the seller session, because it's a conference call. So, I don't really know. I think you need to, I send an email, I need to give some specific addresses that I can give feedback on, but, maybe it's just the overall campaign. There's not a lot of motivation so far. There's a lot of cold offers that need to be sent, and, those need to be sent out.
So, go ahead and give them a call and open Podio and have them zero in on the particular leads like you just told me. Well, here's the most important thing, really, right? There's cold offers that need to be sent out. And I think that's what's going on. He's overanalyzing it, like what a lot of people normally do. They're trying to read into it so much when I just need the after repair value because I plug it into my little spreadsheet and it auto-populates the contract and we mail it out. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to call anybody. You don't have to do anything. I think that's what he thinks he has to do. He has to call them, he has to get all the info.
We spoke last week about that, and he was like, once I give, asked, is there anything that I missed or anything hot in the lead so far? And he's like, hey, once I give you the ARV, it's on your team. So, I mean, he made it very clear that that's not the case, so I don't know why he would think that.
So, give him a call so you guys can get on the same page, communicate, find out what's going on, and then you might just have to reaffirm that conversation that you had last week. Hey, these leads, let's not overthink it. We just need a number on them because we got to get an offer out.
Well, last time we spoke, he was going to be sending the offers, correct?
He's supposed to come up with the number for the offer. Let's take it step by step first. He just needs to come up with the number for the offer. That's all.
Okay.
So give him a ring and then reaffirm that conversation. Hey, we talked last week. Which leads do you need some clarity on? Because for me, that's the biggest stickler. Like when somebody calls, oh, my leads aren't good, or
I don't think it's even worth us talking about,
And so, all right, so yeah, I get, my gut feeling is he's making a sweeping generalization. He's not looking at the leads, or he's overanalyzing it. So call him to find out what's going on, because there's a lot of direct mail expected to go out, right? So the sooner he gets comfortable with the Podio process, the better.
We need to get all the offers up in this campaign before I would send another round. We need to get this smooth out, you know. Just so I know who's going to be sending the offers then, because we do have offers that need to be prepared and sent out that we have ARVs for.
Okay, so in the meantime, just assign them to me, but I don't want you, just step by step, buddy. Just get the number from the guy, find out what's going on, because I don't want you guys to spiral in the wrong direction, and that for me is a yellow flag email. You know what I mean? It requires a phone call to like, hey, you know.
I agree.
So give him a call, find out what's going on.
All right.
Sweet, thanks. All right, so if anybody else has any urgent scenarios, yeah, I think that's really the biggest thing is when your local acquisition guy gets a lead and it's lacking information. I mean, obviously they want the whole questionnaire filled out. I mean, we all do. But there are sellers that will not give up the information, or they want to talk to the main decision maker, right? They don't want to talk to the brother-in-law. They don't want to talk to the wife, the friend or family. They don't want to deal with the assistant. They want to deal with the main guy, right? So even if the person pre-screening on the phone is personable, they connect with them, the seller just wants to deal with the main decision maker. So that questionnaire, that lead is going to move forward to the local acquisition guy. The local acquisition guy looks at it and thinks, hey, you know what? They didn't even do their pre-screening, right? My acquisition team's not doing their job. And so there's this build-up, right? Or a crazy misinterpretation that the phone team is not doing their roles, when in fact they are. It's just that some leads will not have the entire questionnaire filled out. It requires the local person to call them back up. Right? Now, if that local acquisition manager wants to request a follow-up phone call, or they can simply assign the task back and say, hey, here, can you please call these guys back, retest the motivation? Then that's fine. The phone team can call them, retest the motivation. You have to communicate with your local acquisition guy. That way they don't make those sweeping generalizations or get the wrong idea on those particular leads, right? Some of the challenges we face when doing these deals virtually. Communication at the end of the day, exactly, Jimmy. Communication at the end of the day is definitely key. So next situation, has anybody put up for sale signs at the property that they have under contract? Trying to figure out the most effective way. Yellow bandit sign with basic info or typical FSBO sign. Any ideas? Bill, I know bandit signs in your area are a reliable lead source or marketing material, marketing channel for you guys. So what's working for you guys for your guys' bandit signs? Because you use them to find motivated sellers, and you also use them to find buyers, whether cash buyers or tenant buyers. Bill, you there? Test, test, mic test. Can you guys still hear me? Normally we get the double echo when Bill's unmuted, but for some reason doesn't seem to be working right now. Loud and clear, says Gil. Oh, awesome. Yep. Alright. Lily here typed in a question. Hey, Gil, when you're on the phone with the motivated seller, you can look up a property and see at least a market price. What do you use for that reason? Lilia, when I'm talking to a homeowner on the phone, I will try to get a gauge, right? So you can use Zillow, Trulia, Redfin. Black Book has a software where they kind of calculate some values based on sales data. And so I try to get a ballpark figure from the seller or a range to see what they would consider, right? When you are on the phone with the motivated seller, you can look at the property and see at least a market price. What do you use for that reason? Lilia, can you clarify what you meant by that? I'm just going to take a stab at it and assume that how I get a number from a seller. I'll ask them for a ballpark figure to gauge to see how motivated they are. Are they motivated enough for a cash offer, or are they motivated towards a lease with an option to buy or a full retail listing because they want full market value? It gives me clues as to how much time the seller has taken to research property values in the area, to get some education on what's going on in the marketplace, so that we're dealing with realistic numbers and figures. It also tells me if this guy is comparing his property to a brand new, remodeled, just finished last week house or property, when he still has a property that is grandma's original cottage, right? Or that's where the grandparents used to live, and it's been that way since the 70s. Unchanged, untouched, all original, right? Could use some updating, definitely. Exactly, Johnny. So that'll give me clues as to where they're at. I won't attempt to negotiate the price down on the first phone call. I'll get a ballpark figure. I'll ask them if they'd be willing to negotiate or if they'd be willing to come down. But I'm not forcing their hand or getting 100%. Here's my cash offer, take it or leave it. That's not my strategy. I would prefer to tee it up for an appointment where I can deal with them face to face. That's because we do deals in really competitive marketplaces, and in those areas, it's more effective to meet with a seller face to face. A lot of these sellers the truly motivated ones do not want to deal with an agent because they cannot get compensated as quickly as they need the cash to come in, right? So is that what you meant by that, Lilia? Let me know. Hopefully that clarifies. Also, to see some numbers on the property. Well, how do I justify that? Other ways that I would justify it, Lilia, would be to let the seller know to see some numbers on the property. Oh, okay. So did that answer your question? You just typed in yes, thank you kindly. So I'm hoping that addressed it on there. If the seller doesn't want to give you a number, then that's a bit of a yellow flag for me, right? That tells me I need to work harder. I need to ask more questions, build better rapport with the seller, or maybe ask the questions in a different way throughout my dialogue. Maybe come back later on in the conversation, try to ask that same question again. Right. And I'll tell the homeowners, at least, what's the condition of the property? What are sales in the area? These are questions that I like to ask Mr. Miss Seller. That way I can come up with a fair cash offer that works for you and the numbers also work for me. Right. That way it's a win-win situation. It's a win-win scenario. So I do let the seller know that the numbers have to make sense. It has to be good for all parties before we move forward. Awesome. Now with the bandit signs, we don't use bandit signs here in California to flip our wholesale deals. With the agents and the buyer relationships that we've had, we haven't had to use bandit signs to sell specific properties. What we do use are bandit signs to attract other cash buyers. And I did this when I first started out, placing yellow bandit signs. At the subject property, I have not done that personally. I know in Bill's territory and his areas and marketplaces, not too many people use the internet in that area, or the limited it's limited internet connectivity, right? So it cuts in and out, or some areas you just can't get a good connection or any connection at all. So in some of those markets and territories, bandit signs definitely make the most sense to get it sold and to get it flipped. I would encourage you to start placing both your buyer and seller bandit signs at about the same time. You can start with the sellers first, and then a week later put your buyer's signs out. How do you know how many to stick out? You'll have to test. Depending on how many phone calls you will get. Start out with about 100 signs, and then increase the signage based on the volume of the phone calls. If you have no problem keeping up with the phone calls, stick out more signs. If you are overwhelmed where you're not able to work the leads effectively, then hold off on placing more bandit signs. But I definitely think instead of you waiting for contracts to come in or a specific market to property, I like the approach of marketing for buyers and sellers, even buyers if you don't have a property under contract. That way when the time comes, everything's already lined up and ready to go. Okay. Next question or scenario that popped up. So I got an offer on a property through a realtor on my complete junker in the hood for $6,000. Ouch. That would be cool if I found the buyer myself, but since the realtor is bringing a buyer, I verbally agreed to giving him $2,000, which would leave me $1,000. But this is the first offer I've had in this period, so I might just go with it. I think you might be missing some words or some phrases in there. I don't know if a whole section was cut out here by accident. But if a realtor brought you the property, I'd be curious how the realtor found you. That's one. Did you stick this thing on the MLS, or do you have other agents? Where did you market it that the agent had found you? Couple of things that jump out at me. $2,000 for the agent, and you agreed to doing it verbally. I mean, that's close to that's a third of the price on the deal, right? So it seems really high, right? And it seems even higher when you are only going to be left with $1,000. Okay. Now, when you ended this question, it sounds like this might not be such a hot deal, that this is the first offer you've had in a long period of time, right? Like, this is the only guy that's shown any interest over the last couple weeks, the last month, no other calls. So I would make an attempt to remarket the property and get more buyers taking a look at this to verify if we have a good deal, if we have a bad deal, or if we have a deal that needs a specialty buyer, okay? Or somebody that just really wants this property, doesn't care what's going on with it or how bad the property is, that they're willing to pay that price, and half of that price point is going to wholesaling, assignment fees, or a marketing fee for the realtor. So I don't know, it's looking a little bit funky here, right? Now, if the situation is that's the first offer I've had in the first week of marketing the property, and I still have other buyers to talk to, I would make an attempt to get in touch with the other buyers, right? Because you may be able to get better offers on the deal, or better offers on the property. I would consider renegotiating with the agent, right? Instead of $2,000, $1,500, maybe $1,000. I'll try to move around a little bit there so that we can even the playing field, right? Why not do $1,500 a piece? I mean, you got the seller side taken care of, they got the buyer side taken care of, right? If this is the type of deal that's you're likely to lose the contract, or it's not a deal that's looking good to close, then this might be the best buyer you're getting. And so $1,000 is better than nothing. Go ahead and move on it. I don't see you on the session here, so I wish we could break it down better for you, or at least we can get into a dialogue. All right, Bill, you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Alrighty, so you're right back in there. Did you catch that last scenario? $6,000 wholesale deal. Realtor's getting $2,000 out of that, leaves the wholesaler with about $1,000. It's a little funky situation. I can't gauge if it's a motivated lead, if it's a good lead or bad. It could go either way. What's your take on that one?
Well, usually on those properties at that level, usually $1,000 is the maximum commission that's paid on those things. I mean, $2,000 is way too much on that deal. And I understand, because if you took 6% of $6,000, that would only be $360. So there's a minimum that you have to pay a realtor in order to get them, induce them to even get involved, because they usually have to split part of their commission with their sponsoring broker. So usually $1,000 on properties that are 15,000 or under, somewhere around $1,000 generally is the fee that should be paid. So that would be the first thing. And I agree with you. What you said is, it sounds like this is the first offer. I mean, at that price point, unless you're talking about, a major war zone where there's gunfights going on, you could probably put that thing on Craigslist and put some signs out and probably generate some pretty serious activity on the property to see if you can get a little bit better deal on that. And even be in a situation maybe we can sell it yourself and you don't have to pay a realtor. So that would be my best advice on that.
Yeah, I think they missed out a whole...
Thank you, Gil.
I think they missed out a whole section towards the end. First offer in a week, first offer in like 6 months, because that would really shed some light on the situation, or at least give us a better idea to move it forward. But we did give you some options regardless of the situation. It could be either one and how to proceed and move it forward. Overall, you know, yeah, it sounds like the prices on this one are real jacked up. And so it's the kind of deal where, if it goes through, it's more like a bonus. You know, not necessarily a gold star that you get awarded for. But hey, if it's good, it's good. If it'll go through, it'll go through. Somebody asked about bandit signs. I commented on that one a little bit. Did you want to add anything on your towards bandit signs? Because you use them for sellers and for buyers. And you guys your market is very open and receptive to bandit signs, good conversions. Did you want to add anything to the bandit sign question that came in?
Yeah, I think there's really two questions here in one. Number one, is anyone put for sale signs at the property they have under contract? Now, I'm going to conclude that this is a wholesale deal, a traditional wholesale, and they have it under contract. They're buying it for cash and trying to sign the deal. A lot depends on, you know, if it's still occupied, you know, by a tenant or occupied by the owner. The answer is probably no. You know, as to whether or not I would put a for sale sign on the property. You'll have to make a decision, you know, whether or not you want to do that. If it's a traditional wholesale and you put a sign on the property, you know, here's the risks in doing that. The first risk is, you know, if you got the property tied up under contract for 30 and you're trying to sell it to an investor for 40, and you got your phone number on there, you got flyers, then the seller might come by and see what you're doing and go, well, wait a minute, if you can sell this for 40, I want more money. So there's some risk in doing that when you're doing a traditional wholesale. If you're dealing with a vacant property and the seller really doesn't care, they just want out of it, then what I would do is, yeah, we definitely put a sign in the front yard, put a flyer box in the front yard, take a flyer and put it inside the front window, put it inside the glass front door if there is one, put a for sale sign in the yard and arrows on the parkway pointing towards the house, and then, you know, some sort of sales pitch. For instance, obviously, if it's a traditional wholesaler, then it's a fixer-upper. And those are key words. I mean, everybody likes fixer-uppers. So what I would do is, if I had it under contract as a fixer-upper, I'd put on my signs on the parkway with the arrows pointing towards the house, in big bold print, and my headline would be fixer-upper. And have that point, and then in the yard sign I would put fixer-upper, you know, owner desperate, will consider all reasonable offers, call. And your phone should ring off the hook. And then, you know, same thing in the ads, you know, in Craigslist, and also, you know, your bandit signs that you're directing the people into the property is, you know, put fixer-upper. And sometimes what I do is if you want to generate enough traffic, you put fixer-upper, open house with an arrow, and you direct everybody to the property, and then next to the for sale sign it says open house Saturday noon to 1, or Sunday noon to 1, whatever it is, or Wednesday noon to 1. So you get everybody, you direct everybody to the property. They see the house, they see the neighborhood, they get a flyer from the flyer box, or if they're gone, they look in the window and see a flyer. If you're going to do that and you got that much traffic, probably put 2 flyer boxes out. Fill them up, put one on the parkway and one in the yard. And direct all these people to the property. They got your flyer, they know it's going to be open on a certain day, they got your phone number. A lot of them will probably call. If you got a website with a property on there, you could put it on your flyer and have them look it up. on and on. So you're marketing the property 24/7, and you're going to get a whole bunch of calls on that. Now, generally, what I do is I put if I'm going to put a phone number on the bandit signs, that's usually my Google Voice number. But on the phone number that I put on the flyer and in front of the yard is usually my direct number. Because if they went to all the trouble to go to the property, get out of the car, grab a flyer, look at the house, they're motivated. So I want to talk to those folks. And on some occasions, I've even, if it's my house, I'll even let them go look at it. I'll give them a lockbox code. But many sellers wouldn't like that. So, that's kind of what I do is, and if it's my property, I can show the property without going there by, letting them go in the house and looking around and getting their phone number and getting a commitment from them that as soon as they look at the house and they secure the property, that they promise to call me, immediately after they look at it, and then let me know it was locked up. And then the purpose of the call really is to get their temperature to find out how motivated they truly are. So that's generally the way I handle signs. And if you do it, you're going to get a lot of phone calls and you're going to sell the property quickly. Back to you, Gil.
Awesome. And last question that came in for this morning, simple question. All right, we like simple questions too. When you're looking to partner on deals with, say, other wholesalers, do you just forward their email to your buyers and let them speak directly with your buyers, or are you a part of it? And do you agree on a split before all goes down, right? Definitely agree to a split before moving forward with anything, right? Even a general verbal, okay, 50-50, 50 to the seller side, 50 to the buyer side, or 30% of the wholesale fee. What is the best way for us to work together and do business together? I like to find out how they've gotten compensated before, whether it's a wholesaler, a property scout, a bird dog, an agent, a broker. How have they gotten compensated before? That's the first thing I want to ask. Because even if I'm willing to offer 50% of the deal, if they're happy with 5%, 10%, fantastic, right? That leaves a 40% spread in there that we can pass on as killer goodwill and relationship building, right? Or we can throw it on there as a bonus, or we can reinvest that into the company. We have a number of options to work with. So I like to find out what they've gotten paid before, since they've gone through the dollar amount's already there. The manner in which they've been compensated has already been completed. There's a track history or record, whether by check, electronic transfer, out of escrow. How have you done it before? Okay, that way we can move forward in a process that has been tested. We know that it's already worked. If this is a new wholesaler or a new person you're doing deals with, again, at least agree up, have at the very least a verbal agreement, just to be able to, talk things out, agree to a number, place it in writing. It doesn't have to be an overly complicated contract. Even a one-page, here's what I'm going to get paid, and here are the services that I'm going to be providing. Here are my job descriptions. Here are my duties. Here are my tasks. Here's everything that we're going to do for this particular deal. Okay? And list and itemize that for the person you're doing business with, so that there's, again, clear expectation, and you can always refer back to that document. You can get it notarized if you want to have it notarized, right? Or you can just go with simple signed copies. I don't want to overcomplicate things. Normally, most of these questions, or at least we spend a lot of time with a lot of newer wholesalers or newer agents, trying to educate them on how they can get paid and how this business works. And they tend to be the ones that are most skeptical. Most skeptical to the point where it's really ironic. It's like I'll introduce them to the number one wholesaler in town who will have a buyer for their deal, and all of a sudden this new person is asking questions like, well, why should I do business with you, right? Or I'm going to need a non-disclosure, non-circumvent agreement. And I get the intention there, and the intention is to compensate all parties involved, but I think there's a smarter way to go about it and to present it, where you're not insulting the person that you're talking to, or you kind of forget that, even though it is a 50-50 split, technically this other person is bringing a whole lot more to the table, right? And they can easily negotiate or demand more at the end of the day. but they're not. So you want to tread lightly, or you want to proceed with caution there, where you have numbers agreed up front so that there's clear expectations. You can put it into writing, even get it notarized, and save that particular hard copy for everybody involved, right? But you also want to go so far as to making it so complicated for you guys to end up doing business together, right? Bill does deals nationwide, some with agents, some with wholesalers, some with property scouts. Bill, do you guys have lengthy contracts that you outline with your joint venture partners, or even one-time deal partners?
Well, I like to keep it as simple as possible, Gil. I remember a story that, as far as how to negotiate the deal, I remember a story that my daddy told me. He was a Jim Beam drinker, and he said, Bill, you meet somebody and you're trying to get to know them a little bit, do a little business with them, and they're a whiskey drinker. He says, if you pour a little kind of whiskey in a shot glass and hand it to them, they're going to think that you're the cheapest guy ever. But if you hand them the shot glass and you hand them the bottle and they pour it, they're probably only going to pour maybe a half a shot or 3/4 of a shot, and then they're going to be fine, and there's great rapport that's just built there. So the bottom line is just like you said, is, ask them what they're looking for from the deal, and, what they anticipate that they're going to bring to the deal, and what they're going to do. Are they going to show the property to the buyer? They're going to meet the buyer there and show the property. What do they expect of you, and what do you expect of them? And just put a simple agreement together, like based on our conversation on Tuesday, June the 24th, we agreed to do the following in regards to wholesaling the property. You're going to bring the buyer, you're going to show the property to the buyer, you're going to prepare the contracts, you're going to attend the closing, and you're going to make sure that they bring the money to the closing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up with the closing agent, do the walkthrough inspection, the final walkthrough inspection, interact with the seller and make sure that the seller is there and on board. And I'm going to be present to close the deal. This is your understanding of our agreement on Tuesday, June the 24th. Just go ahead and indicate your approval right here. I'll do the same, and we got a deal. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a simple wholesale. Now, if you're talking about a highly sophisticated, multifamily or office transaction, then you're going to need a lot more paperwork. But just for a house, one-page agreement ought to do it.
Nice. Keep it simple, guys. If you want to get paid, take baby steps and continue to move forward and bring that deal forward to a close. You're obviously going to need to agree on a split up front. Who's going to do what, and is it going to come in check, a wire? How are you guys going to get compensated at the end of the day? Tack on a wholesale fee, split the existing wholesale fee. I recommend you split the existing wholesale fee because the numbers were already crunched and calculated, and it should be a good deal as it is, right?
Hey, Gil?
Yeah, Bill.
Hey, Gil? Just one quick, man. I've done a lot of deals on a yellow pad. Right there at the property, or or on the phone. If you're doing it over the phone, you can type it up. But if it's at the property, everybody's hot, ready to go. You agree to what you're going to do. They agree what they're going to do. Just write it down on a yellow pad, one page, print small. Date it and sign it at the bottom. Date it and sign it at the bottom. Tell them that you'll scan a copy when you get back to the office. Boom. That's it.
All right, so last question that popped up. Maria was able to get this one in and go to webinar. How do I approach a just listed looking for cash buyer only property that might be a total loss? I don't take a look at just listed properties, or at least I don't pay too much attention to them, because there's a lot of competition here in Los Angeles, and I actually pursue properties in pending status. So for us, it's just been a smarter, more efficient way to go about things, where if the pending deal falls out, it gives us an opportunity to do the deal. If you participate in these bidding wars, somebody in there has a strategy of driving the price up simply for the sake of driving the price up and scaring everybody away, right? And so I don't want to be part of that frenzy. I would rather wait until the dust settles, come in and save the day. or when it does fall out, when that buyer backs out, then I'll talk to the agent in greater detail. I also want to be cautious, and I would be on the lookout for a realtor that's using the strategy of pricing it extremely low simply to start, again, a bidding war, right? Because there are, that listing price is not the price that they're going to accept at the end of the day. It's simply the lead magnet that they are using to get more offers, right? The price is already high on this deal and they're not motivated yet. I'm looking to understand timing and approach and realtor with any. I would spend 10 minutes, maybe. I would even say even as low as 5 minutes with this particular lead. Call them, introduce myself, get on their buyers list or have them add me to their VIP list of cash buyers, and contact me if there's any movement or change if this property does become available again, right? So I'm just building a list of agents, and send an email blast about once a week to that entire list of agents, asking if there's any cash deals available, if there's any deals that you can buy from them, to keep you at the front of the line so that they send the deals to you as opposed to somebody else, right? They may already have cash buyers. The only way you'll find out is to test and to participate or attempt to build a relationship with these guys. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. And I would automate it with an autoresponder or an email blast, right? Awesome, guys. So thanks for jumping on this session. We'll hold out here for another minute or so. Bill, any last feedback for everybody before we jump off?
I'm good, Gil. That was a great answer. Amen to that, and have a great day.
Awesome. I do have that phone number here for you. So she is a realtor. I don't know if she's a broker. I know she's licensed. And she does deals here in Los Angeles. She's been inquiring about lease options and other solutions that she can offer to her sellers. She's available between 10 a.m. and 11 today. Or at the very least, maybe you guys can open a dialogue and see what she's really looking to do. She may be sitting on some listings that you guys can monetize or structure some deals out of. But she contacted me on Facebook asking about lease options and what they can do for her business, or how she can offer this as a solution. Some of the stuff we talked about, she's taken a look at other solutions, which I think they're a lot riskier, and a little bit on the controversial side, for California. So, a clean rent-to-own or owner finance deal might be better for her at the end of the day, since that's a little bit more straightforward, easier to structure the deals. And she's also targeting a lot of notice of defaults for her marketing. So I don't know how well that's working for her, but there may be some room in there to improve her marketing campaign as well. So with that, guys, thanks for jumping on. Starting Thursday, we're going to move our 9 a.m. sessions to 8 a.m. So just take a look at the webinar reminders, but do readjust and reset your calendars. And there is a new webinar registration link for this coming Thursday for the next month. So let me type that here for everyone so that you guys have the new link. I had sent out an email blast. I posted it in our Facebook forum. So hopefully you guys caught it there. If you didn't, I am typing it in the GoToWebinar. For the email blast on those agents, Maria, it's a 1 or 2 liner. Hey, do you have any deals available? Any cash deals? Any rehab properties? Any pocket listings that we can take a look at? Any good deals? 1 or 2 lines. Just modify those statements. That's it, right? No, I don't believe in the long, lengthy emails or paragraphs. Alright, guys, so thanks for jumping on. Andy, do check some of the messages I sent your way. Otherwise, Mr. Clutch, hope that conversation went really well. I'm headed to Notary to go sign off on some docs, and we'll catch you guys. No session tomorrow on Wednesday. No session tomorrow on Wednesday. Alright? Have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.